Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Brittany, and of course, as you know, this is video number 5 out of 6, approaching the end of our journey. However, we still have a few more things to talk about, of course. Here in video 5, we'll be discussing the text, Global Gender Issues in the New Millennium, Chapter 5, which covers gender and the global political economy. So basically what we're going to be discussing is gender divisions and gender's relationship to today's political economy and the political economy that we've seen over the years. So it not only how it affects today, but also how it has been portrayed through history. So as we know, the book loves its handy-dandy tables and its dichotomy comparisons. So for this chapter 5, the table is called Gender Divisions of Labor and Resources, Productive of the Crisis of Sustainability, which is a big thing throughout the chapter, discussing sustainability and the assurance of the economy being sustainable for people and for gender divisions. So like always, we have our masculinized side and then we have our femininized side. So on the versus side, we have paid work versus unpaid work, providers versus dependents, production versus reproduction, independent in the market versus dependent in the market, developed versus undeveloped, culture versus nature, active versus passive, subject versus object, users versus disposable resources, advanced versus primitive, finance versus consumption, and exploitation versus stewardship. All of which will be discussed throughout the chapter. However, a few will stick out more than others, same as in previous videos. So, like I said, we'll be generally talking about the crisis of sustainability, which we did touch on in chapter 1 in video 1. We talked about, let's see, we discussed sustainability as well as insecurity in chapter 1, and remasculizing world politics in chapter 1, how in relationship to sustainability. However, for this chapter, we're going to be more discussing how, like I said, the political economy aspect of it and how women are gaining more jobs, and with that comes, enhanced self-esteem and economic empowerment. However, the depiction of masculinized versus feminized, as we discussed in the table, hasn't necessarily shifted equality fully or has changed those preconceived ideologies about what is masculine and what is feminine, and of course the topic of our economy. So because we've come to a point where women are gaining more jobs, which is great. Of course, we want women to feel comfortable in the workplace, because that encourages ego and just overall the equality of life. Being able to provide and being able to be independent for oneself is important for all people, but especially women, because we didn't have that previously. However, like stated, there is an issue with changing the dynamics of women with specific jobs, or the jobs that women are having. Although more, is it diverse? And that's the issue. So, outside of the crisis of sustainability, we have also an effect on industrial capitalism's effect on sustainability and modern gender divisions, where we specifically discuss neoliberal globalization, which is visibly gendered when analyzing the welfare provisions. The book says cutbacks in public welfare also have their greatest impacts on feminized populations, women and the working poor, but partially working poor women. So it goes on to say basically what I just said, that the workplace and our government and our economy is visibly gendered, and because of that, the government has instilled cutbacks to public welfare, which most predominantly affect women, because of their lack of being able to have the same career paths as men, and being able to have that stair step and always having to face that glass ceiling that we know, not being able to get to certain positions. Women are often for sure more impoverished than men. So by cutting back our welfare programs for women, even working women or poor women period in general, there's a problem. So, and they do this by using deregulation, privatization, and stabilization policies. So they start with deregulation. They'll deregulate a policy. So what they'll do is they'll make it less government inflicted and then turn it in. This is what the privatization comes in. They'll make it more independent contracted. So that way the government doesn't have necessarily a say so. It's just these individual companies or companies who have the say so in everything, and they aren't giving women the opportunity to have the opportunity to advance. And then that's when the stabilization process or policies come in, where they have these processes which they make this the norm, and it makes it even harder for women to achieve, and makes that glass ceiling a little bit lower. So then we throughout the chapter, it also discusses heavily the gender divisions of resources. In the book, it talks about how the death of women was drastically more than the death of men after, say, Hurricane Katrina, all natural disasters but specifically Hurricane Katrina. And this is because women don't have the resources that they need, because they don't have the opportunities that they need to achieve and obtain sustainability, as the chapter discusses. In natural disasters, women are 14 times more likely not to make it, just based on the division of vulnerability and the lack of sustainability that we discussed. And because of that, it keeps on every, 2 steps, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, because, we move forward and then we cut back down because we don't have the sustainability to continuously, keep up with that. So then, outside of that, because of this lack of sustainability and women's higher death rate in natural disasters, which is 14 times more likely, women are most prominently fighting for the protection of our land and combating resource depletion. So women are all women, but especially poor women, are the heart of reversing climate change, which is one of the biggest issues that we face in today's economy. Everyone's talking about global warming, climate change, anything that has to do with nature, and it's the changes that we are seeing ever so rapidly in today's economy. Women are at the forefront of protecting our mother nature, because we are who feel the wrath of the changes the most, without the support from everyone else, because we are in a position that isn't sustainable. It isn't equal and it isn't fair for women who are continuously being shown that they're not cared about because they're refused their sustainability. And it makes you think, if men were at the forefront of this, of climate change and reversal of such topics that have to do with climate change, would there be more being done? And would this even be an issue as it is so drastically today, to the point where restaurants are replacing all of their plastic straws with paper straws, and campuses are so heavily incorporating greenhouses everywhere and asking for volunteers to help replant and regarden, and all of these things wouldn't be such a issue if men felt the wrath of the natural lack of sustainability that we have. It felt it on the same level as women. So that's just my biggest takeaway from today and today's chapter, which was chapter 5 of the text called Gender and the Global Political Economy. So that concludes video number 5. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you in our conclusion of video 6, in which we will talk about gendered resistances. Thanks.